Jeff from Two Hacks Garage. Well, I'm back at Jimmy's, and in the last few videos you saw us really make a ton of headway on this 388 cubic inch small block Chevy for my friend Todd, who has that stunning 1980 Z28. In today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to install the camshaft. Now, this is a hydraulic flat tappet cam that's from Isky. It's their Mega 280 grind. It's going to be a really, really good cam for this street engine. It revs up. Its power band is actually like 2,500 to 68. I don't think this engine will ever see 6,800, but you know what? If he ever wants to, he's got the camshaft to do it. It's also made in the USA. So we're going to show you how to install that cam today. Like I said, we're going to go dot to dot on this. It's a pretty straightforward process, but some of the other items that we got that we're going to show you, we have a cam lock plate kit. It's from Cams, all ARP fasteners with this. We got an Edelbrock Performer link, timing chain, driven assembly lubrication. This is specifically made for this type of application. Works very well. I use a lot of their products, really happy with it. And we've got a Power Bond Harmonic balancer that we're going to throw on it too, along with a Holley timing chain cover. Now mind you, once this is all done and this front end's buttoned up, I can go ahead and flip it back over, finish up the bottom end, recheck the torque specs on it, put the oil pan on. And you know what, guys? It's pretty much a short block at that point. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get started on installing this camshaft. See you in a few. All right, so the first step to this is you're actually going to stab the cam in the hole. But prior to that, what you want to do is you want to confirm the cam that you bought matches the cam that's in the box. Isky's great because on the back here, they do have it engraved on there. So what you do is basically make sure it's correct. And the next step is you'll take like mineral spirits or lacquer thinner, and you're going to clean off all the pre-assembly lube that they put on these to protect it from rusting. Now, mind you, in the actual cam bearings, I did put a light oil on there, but this is where you're going to lube everything up real good, because it's important that all the journals, including the distributor gear, get lubed up. Now, I am using, it's a driven engine assembly grease. It's very good. It's a high quality product. You can find it online. Pretty much find it everywhere. So this is the messy process per se, but you want to make sure everything gets nice and coated very well. I've seen people use like a little paintbrush. I prefer just to squeeze it on by hand. Get a nice good layer of that assembly lube on there. And what this is going to do, it's going to help protect it upon the initial startup. We showed you how to kind of prep your oil pump and all that, and how we're making sure everything is lubed very well as we assemble it. So yeah, this is basically what you do, is you just smear a lot of this assembly lube on there. Now if you look here in these distributor gears, I'm really getting it in those actual gears itself. The reason I'm doing that is I want it, when this thing fires and goes off that distributor, that there's no metal to metal contact before the oil starts flowing through the engine. So you just go through and you make sure everything is lubed up very well. Proper lubrication is a must when breaking in a camshaft, especially like this, because it is a hydraulic flat tappet. And what's going to happen is you're going to have those brand new lifters on startup. They're going to start hitting on your actual camshaft lobes, and they're going to start breaking into that. So that's very crucial that you don't wipe any of that out. So instead of sitting here and having you watch me lube up every journal on this, what I'm going to do is lube this up, talk to Jimmy about a few things, and we'll be stabbing this thing in soon. See you in a few. All right, so I got about 3/4 of this nice and lubed up. Now the whole trick is with this is you're going to put this in the hole, and you don't want to hit the bearings as much as you can. You don't want to nick anything, so just be careful and go slow. But if you notice back here, I haven't lubed this up yet. That's because I want this hand to be somewhat free, clean, and clear. And to help guide it, I do have a bolt on the back here. So once it gets into this point, I'll lube the rest of this. So what you want to do is you want to go slowly after you got everything nice and lubed up and straight, and you want to go in the hole, you'll see some stuff. Now, see how I'm keeping it from really hitting those lobes? And I'm looking for the next one. Now, mind you, I am just taking my time here. I'm not just jamming it in there. Looking for the next hole. There it is. You can see the extra assembly lube coming off. It's pretty much telling me I got more than enough on there. Okay, so I'm looking for the back hole, and there we go. So at this point, what I'll end up doing, let me zoom in on there. You can see the extra assembly lube right here. I'm just going to wipe some of that, start putting it back on the actual cam lobes here. Now, mind you, like I said, we are going to go dot to dot on this. This cam, per specs on Isky's paperwork, they do talk about their grounded precision, where they can be installed factory without any checking. However, we will end up checking it. But so at this point, what you're going to do is you're just going to finish up assembling or lubing the actual camshaft. Get that all nice and taken care of. And you want to apply this to the general amount, because this is a very important, crucial step in the engine building process, especially when you go to break everything in. It's crucial to get the entire surfaces taken care of on this. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty comfortable on it being lubed up good. And I'm going to get this journal on the outside done.
Wait a minute before you put that in there.
Nope. Okay, so at this point,
There, now you got better control.
now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right here. And if you look, I'm just double checking all the lobes, make sure they're nice and lubed. And I'm going to start sliding it in the rest of the way. And you can also look in the back, this hole here on the back of the cam toe. Mind you, we have the plug out at this point. Reason being is, well, it's on an engine stand, and we, generally speaking, install that last. So I found the back one, and I'm just going to follow it in the back. And just go slow. Like I said, you don't want to force anything. And find the rest of the holes. You want to limit as much metal to metal contact as possible. So like right now, I've got it in there. Checking everything out. We're properly lubed. We're in the hole. Wipe some of this excess grease off here. We are about ready to go. So yeah, that's how you actually stab it in the hole. Make sure everything's lubricated. You know what, guys? We're getting closer. See you in a few. All right, the next step of this is we're going to install the bottom crankshaft timing chain gear set. We're actually going to install this piece here. And if you look here, it's got the 4 retarded, 4 advanced, and your factory spec. We are actually going to go dot to dot on this. And the way you do that is you see how it's keyed on here like that. Well, that is going to follow the key on here. And it does help if you have just a slight little bit of lubrication on there. So I'm just going to use some of that cam grease. Kind of grease it up a little bit. Nothing, not a whole lot, just enough to help slide this on. And then from there, what I'm going to do is just put a little bit on the inside too. And so that key, what I'm doing is I'm going to make sure that it's not on the 4 retarded or 4 advanced. It's going to be on that dot. That dot is factory spec. So if you look now, it's going to be on the factory spec on dot. That is at 0 degrees, basically on the bottom part of the timing. It's not advanced, it's not retarded. We'll show you more here in a second. Okay, so the next step on this is we're going to install the rest of the timing gear on this. Now this is an Edelbrock product, and if you look, we have the dot facing straight up. And what's going to have to happen is if you look on your timing gear, you'll have a dot. So you want those to line up together. And if you look here, these bolt holes align to the camshaft, and there's a little dowel notch right there, and that goes into the cam.
That'll save a bunch of grief when you put that on. Just kind of try to eyeball that, and you get it on there. That way, before you put it on here, that way you can hop it one way or the other.
So like this. So I'm going to go up with it.
Actually, I think you got it. Let me push the cam back out. It's in the block.
Yep, I'm dot to dot, Jimmy.
Okay, now bolt holes.
Okay, so what I do have here is it's a Comp Cam's cam lock kit. It's a nice product for this, and we'll show you what we're going to do here.
You said this was adjustable timing gear.
It is.
No, not that.
No, it's not the timing gear. The timing gear is not. It's got two. It's three-way.
I like the ones with the indexable bushing in it.
I do too.
Bushing one way or the other.
I do too. That's really good for a race car application.
Yep, it is.
You can really fine hone all of that. So if you look here, that lines up on there pretty well.
Pre-fits your bolts. That tin thing sometimes throws you off.
All right, so
That's what I thought.
I'm going to pre-fit these bolts real quick. Make sure everything lines up properly.
Oh, it is on the pin.
Yep, it's on the pin.
Okay. Now, run down snug. That way it'll suck the cam up in it, and then you can pull them back out, and you're ready to go.
Okay. So I'm going to snug these down. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do here is now that I got it lined up, and if you look, it is dot to dot. We'll show you that in a minute. But I'm going to run these down just to snug them. And what it's going to do, it's going to seat the actual timing gear to the back of that cam. Just going to get it snug on all of them evenly. You want this thing to go down as even as possible.
Even though everything's in alignment, sometimes when you finally pull it into the cam gear, the cam will twist one way or the other to finally, it'll find its own seat, basically.
Okay. Okay, so those are nice and snug.
Yep.
And now it's seated to the actual cam. Now, let me show you what I was talking about dot to dot on there. I know it's at an angle, but if you look, the factory specs are being used on dot to dot.
Yeah, you got them lined up good. I'm looking.
And they're lined up tight. And now, mind you, look, this is nice and tight. Ones that need to be replaced will be really wiggly, and that can have enough slop where your timing is going to get completely out of adjustment.
That'll loosen up the first hour it's run.
Yeah, it will.
But it'll be within specs.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, now that it's seated, I'm going to install the cam lock plate. So basically to do that, you're going to run these back out. Mind you, we don't use hand tools. We stick with the good old-fashioned hands. Or sorry, power tools. We stick with the good old-fashioned hands. So now this is seated on there. It's going to stay in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out these bolts. And since it's got the cam lock plate, we don't need any Loctite on these. In some cases, you can use a Loctite in there, but it's really not necessary at this point. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take it. You see that tab right there? So this thing is seated in there now, and it's lined up. So you're going to slide that over your dowel, and you're going to do exactly what you just did. Only goes one way.
I give you a piece of advice.
Yeah.
Take the plate back off, or you're going to find.
Oh, I see what you're saying. What you're going to want to do, real quick, what you're going to want to do is, since this is a lock plate, let me explain what this is if you've never done one. So these little tabs here, they bend up and they go around that bolt. Let me show you real quick. So Jimmy just made a good point. I don't do these every day, but so you see that, you're going to get that lined up, and these little tabs here, they bend up and they hold the bolt in place, hence a lock plate. So what Jimmy's going to go is he's going to go pre-bend these a little bit. It's going to make this a whole lot easier. See you in a few.
Now you'll be able to get a screwdriver behind them.
All right. So now if you look here, just makes it easier on installation. Jimmy went ahead and he pre-bent those tabs on there. I'll show you why that's important. Now if you look here, the pin, the dowel pin that's on the camshaft, it's already been seated, so we know we're good. What we're going to do is we're going to place that back over there. I'm going to rotate that in place. We're going to start running these in. Just kind of finger tight. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to get my socket with my half-inch, or my ratchet with my half-inch socket.
I'll get you a torque spec. I'll be back.
And I'm going to snug these real quick into place. Mind you, you do this evenly. So I'm just going to go a little bit there. That feels snug. That feels snug. That feels snug. 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 Feels pretty good. So what Jimmy's doing right now is he is getting the torque spec on the actual timing chain bolts right there, because you're going to want to keep those into place. Overall, I'm pretty happy with Isky products. They are precision ground. They are made in the USA. They've been around for absolutely forever. And in fact, let me show you something real quick. I'll be right back. This here is an actual authentic, very old Isky Racing Cams authorized dealer. Jimmy, back in the day, for many years, raced funny cars, front engine dragsters, rear engine dragsters, and he used a lot of Isky cams. He's had that thing for absolutely forever. Pretty cool little piece of nostalgia. Now we're going to get...
That's 1960.
1960. So yeah, that thing is pretty old. Pretty neat. Love it. Dig it. All the old school stuff is a lot of fun. So with that, guys, we're going to get back to work. See you in a minute. Now it's time to torque these. Factory specs called 18 to 20. So that's what we're going to do. Jimmy, what about that sign, man?
A very good dear friend of mine that passed away. He was older than me. Passed away a few years ago. He'd had a speed shop for half past forever. Started out in McLean, Illinois. Terry Taylor was his name. And he started the speed shop in 59 or 60. And he was a factory authorized Isky dealer and all the Isky products. They did blower drives as well as cams. They did a lot of stuff back then. But anyhow, the factory rep come around when they set him up, and they gave him that sign that's dated on the back. I forget which month, but 1959 or 60. I think it says 60 on the back of it. So when he passed away, I got it out of his estate, plus a lot of other stuff I got. But it'll be with me until I die, and then I'll probably pass it on to somebody else that'll appreciate it, like Jeff here.
I'm into all the vintage stuff. You guys see that a lot, and I tell you what, Isky cam, they had a really cool, remember the Polydyne camshafts, and they had the poly?
Yes.
It was like a, what do you call that? Like a
I don't remember
toucan bird.
Was, though. It wasn't Isky.
I thought it was Polydyne Isky cam for a while. I don't know.
Maybe they called it Polydyne.
I think they
don't
did.
know.
So if you look there, we got them torqued up.
I'm going to get you a punch you're going to need. Well,
All right, so if you look here on these tabs, we torqued it down, like I said, 20 foot-pounds. If you look on the tabs, you're going to find one of those where these ears, one of these ears lines up as closely to this, and you're going to bend those tabs over that head. That is just a, like I said, it's a cam lock. So in order to do that, thin flat blade screwdriver, and I'm going to go right in here, and let me get one that's more bent. In between the cam and that tab, might have to get a little thinner of a screwdriver. That's all good. All right, here's something a little thinner.
I'm one of them old school guys. Better to bend it twice than bend it once and it snap off.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. It's kind of like the old saying, measure twice,
You got a
cut
little
once.
hammer?
Not in there, no.
Let me go get one. Oh,
So I'm just working that slowly and getting it nice and kind of bent here. What we'll probably do is take a little punch and then punch that the rest of the way down. So you want to be careful with this.
that's good.
All right, so Jimmy's got a little punch. If you watch what he's going to do here, he's going to finish knocking those little ears in. Like I said, this is a cam lock. Some engine builders use them, some don't. I got it with this kit, so if you look, that little ear now is over that bolt. Just locking it in place, helping keeping it from back off.
And about the first time, you have to take them off so they're done anyhow.
This product came from Comp Cams. Works with, you just look up what specs you need or which one you need for your camshaft. All right, there we go. See you in a minute. All right, so the next step here is what we're gonna do. So we installed the cam, dot to dot, put everything at top dead center, and if you saw what we did there on time lapse, we degreed the cam. I do have a Clay Smith cam degree kit that we used. We went to per the instructions on Clay Smith's YouTube channel. They have a very good tutorial on it. I would advise you to go to their tutorial and walk through the steps on how to use that. I just threw that in their time lapse. It's a very good video. That kit is actually really easy to use and affordable. Worked out very well. Dot to dot, we degreed everything, we checked it, make sure everything was good, we were good to go. So we left it at top dead center for now. But the next step of this is putting the timing chain cover on and the actual pointer. So this is a Holley cast timing chain cover. It did come with bolts. However, the rest of this engine is getting ARP hardware, so we are actually going to put ARP hardware on this. So we're just going to throw it on time lapse, install that, call it good to go. See you in a few.
You sure ARP is long enough?
Yeah.
They might have sent it for a tin cover.
All right, so the next step of this, of what we got going on, is we're going to actually install the balancer. And mind you, this did come with the kit from the whole rotating assembly. This came with it. So the timing tab that I got, it actually doesn't fit flush with this. Now, this is a cast cover here. And normally the metal ones, if you look here, it would sit flush in there. Well, this doesn't. And you got your timing mark actually here on this. I've never used one of these, so it's kind of a new thing for me. Also, I've always used something the old-fashioned way. And when you put this on, if you look, your timing mark, which is 0, it lines up with these two right here. So this doesn't have any additional marks. I'm going to contact the company I got this from to see if they actually have the timing strip for this that is supposed to be here. Otherwise, we got to do a little bit of ingenuity to actually make that work. Jimmy and I were just talking about that. So to put one of these on, you have a harmonic balancer. It's like a puller install tool. Goes on here. It's got a nut. Presses this on. I'll just throw that on time lapse. So I just wanted to let you know when we did this cover, we did notice that. Now, mind you, we did put a little gasket sealer between the gaskets to really help not have a nice tight seal on that, and then tighten these up in a sequence, and then firmed them all up. So yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of homework on that. But the one thing you do want to make sure you do when installing this, you do want to put a little bit of oil within this seal right here, and maybe a little bit on there. So, tell you what, guys, see you in a minute. Well, we got the harmonic balancer on. One quick tip on that is, you've seen people just drive them on or beat them on. You don't want to do that. You can actually not only hurt the crank, but you can hurt the thrust bearing in the back. So Jimmy had that nice tool where it slowly just pressed it on, as you saw. We pre-oiled that seal in there, and we also oiled up the shaft a little bit to help press that on. So the next step in this is actually to install the crank bolt on here, and this is a 12-point ARP. It's very high quality. You're going to follow the torque specifications that this came with on this when tightening this down, and also the sequence. It's a very good idea. I've already done it, is to put some ARP fastener lubricant on here to help that thing from not seizing up, getting gunk in there and built up. So it's actually really simple. You're going to put this in here, and it is fine thread. And one good tip on that is you want to make sure it actually fits the crankshaft, before you go crazy with it. You're going to take your 12-point on there, and you're going to tighten it down. It's not rocket science.
At some point, one of these videos, you ought to be showing completely put the Holley
Yes.
company supplying this kind of
Oh, yeah. So it's on there now, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually torque that up here in a minute. But if you take a look over here in the background, that's Jimmy's T-bucket. It is a big block Ford. When I first started working with Jimmy on it, it had a blower on it. We put a tunnel ram on it. It was radical to a little bit less radical, and he wants this thing to be extremely street friendly. So Jimmy and I bought up a wind intake manifold. It's a really nice dual plane model. He Cerakoted it clear to help protect it. We got ourselves an old classic Holley 750 double pumper carburetor, and we're going to do an install video on that down the road once everything comes in. That thing is a handful to sit in and go with. It's a pretty neat car. We'll do a video on it. So yeah, from here, what you're going to do is you're going to torque that down to the specification set, and you're going to be good to go. See you in a few. So here's a quick little tip. To tighten this up, obviously you're going to rotate the engine. I looked at manufacturer specs at 80 foot-pounds of torque on this, but it's going to want to spin the engine. So what we do is we put a couple flywheel bolts in the back, put a pry bar between it, and we also put that on the back of this engine stand. That's just holding it into place. If it was anything at really high pressure, you probably wouldn't want to do that.
Probably will turn. Yeah, it's going to turn. No, it won't.
So you're going to want to go one fluid motion until it pops.
That might not be on all the way. The balancer. We're about to find out. The click?
Yep.
That's it? Got a wimpy click.
I'm going to visually make sure.
Actually go click.
Yeah, this is a quiet one. There.
Okay. See, the balancer wasn't on all the way, was it?
No, we pressed the balancer on a little bit more. I'm going to double check that reading on there. So give me 1 second there, Jimmy.
I'll put this back in there.
All right. It's a new torque wrench I picked up.
You want me to get mine just to make sure?
Yeah, we're going to check it with both. Okay, so you got, that's right here, Jimmy. So that's a new torque wrench. One we know that's tried and true. I'm going to give it a shot here just to check. That is a very quiet click. See what you get to see on camera when we're actually working on stuff. Live tool reviews. Nothing edited out. Okay, 80 foot-pounds. Okay. Much louder click on that.
Yep, worked.
All right, so we were at 80. So there you go. Nice little trick. See you in a few minutes. Well, we're going to call that a day. Also, kind of some learning lessons on there as we went through this. So what we did is we installed the camshaft. It's an Isky cam. It was very precise on the ground. We degreed it. Now, mind you, we just time-lapsed that portion of it. We actually used Clay Smith Cam's degree kit. There's a really good tutorial online on their actual channel to how to do that. Followed that method. Everything came in absolutely perfect with that. Showed you how to put the timing gear set on there, get that all buttoned up. And we also ended up showing you putting on the timing chain cover, this Holley, and this harmonic balancer here. The one thing real quick, guys, I've never used one of these. And two things I noticed, like I said from the beginning, I bought ARP hardware for it. Well, the ARP hardware is meant for the stock style thin steel one, so I wasn't able to use it. The bolts weren't long enough. So I just used the kit that Holley provided with it. Works perfectly fine. And the other thing I did notice with this is it doesn't have the ability to put that timing tab on there like the old school Chevys, all the original stuff, what I'm used to. So that's a learning curve for me. The balancer, it has one provision on here for the timing mark on here. So we're going to put our heads together. We're not done with it yet, and probably order up one of those timing tab or timing strips for this. Like I said, I'll contact the manufacturer on that. But you know what, guys? It was a pretty easy day. Got a lot done in reality because that cam, you know, makes everything work in here, makes everything do all its magic. So long story short, it was a good day. It was a successful day. I'm a little tired. Kind of got a headache. But at the same time, we got this done. So in the next video, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to flip this engine over. I'm going to recheck all the torque specs on the mains and on the rod bolts to make sure they're where they're supposed to be. I'm going to button up the bottom end on this. A couple of little odds and ends I got to take care of with that. And you know what, guys? After that, I'll do a little bit of cleaning on this. The short block's pretty much done. And the next steps will be heads, valve train, intake carb, all that fun stuff. But you know what? I can't put the pan on until this was done. So with that, guys, like I said, I'm tired. It's been a long day. It's late. I'll catch you tomorrow. See ya.